पंक्तियों के साथ मैं आपको आमंत्रित करती हूँ कि सबसे अधिक कठिन होता है, सबसे अधिक कठिन होता है अपना ही निर्माण, क्योंकि स्वयं से लड़ते रहना काम नहीं आसान। अपने सारे गुण अवगुण का रहता हमको बोध, और करनी होती है प्रतिपल ही निज कल्पों की शोध। खुद को ही खुद का देना पड़ता है प्रबल प्रमाण, सबसे अधिक कठिन होता है अपना ही निर्माण। छुपने और छुपाने जैसी बात न रहती शेष, अपना सब कुछ देखा करती अंतर्दृष्टि विशेष। आओ युग निर्माण करें हम इसी तरह प्रारंभ, औरों का निर्माण करेंगे गढ़ निज जीवन स्तंभ। सिंधु शोध का बिंदु शोध ही तो है विमल विधान, और सबसे अधिक कठिन होता है अपना ही निर्माण, सबसे अधिक कठिन होता है अपना ही निर्माण। तो आमंत्रित करती हूँ डॉक्टर रवि विजयम मैम को।
Namaste. Good evening to all of you. Welcome to each one of you to Hem Virtues, the e-portal, Learning Revolution e-portal of Hema Foundation. I'm so glad, very glad to be among you all today. Am I audible? Am I audible?
Yes, miss, you are.
I'm so very glad to be with you.
One second, Dr. Vijayam. I would request you to please, and can you say?
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. And my namaskar to all the elder members on the panel and out there as viewers. And my very best wishes and greetings to all the officers of Hema Foundation. And Anita Maheshwari, as usual, you rock. And sometimes, I become so jealous listening to, and I wonder when I am going to learn that. I doubt very much. I doubt very much whether I will be able to learn this beautiful Hindi. Thank you so much. Thanks to all of you, and a warm welcome to the chief guest, Sita Kiran ma'am, and Wing Commander Ranjit. I am so honored to be amongst you all today. And there as viewers, my very beloved teachers and the school management. It is a pleasure to see you all. And I am Vijayam Ravi from Mumbai, the most beautiful and happening city of this country. And I take pride in saying that. How are you doing? I'm sure as teachers and principals, you must be shuttling between online classes. And it is a great challenge. I'm sure you will be going through a tough time, but it's okay. The challenges are going to be there. And that is what we are meant for as teachers, isn't it? We will be telling the children to face challenges equally, squarely, and also be resilient. And so we set ourselves as examples. Before we proceed to the real activity of today, let me wish you all a very happy Teachers' Day. 5th September, we are celebrating Teachers' Day, and I consider it as an honor to talk to you just a couple of days before that to wish you great. Because teachers are really chosen people by the Lord to do some job. Like in the last webinar I mentioned, certain things God could not do. So he chose the teachers to do it, to touch the lives of people. And you are here, and I'm so thankful to all the principals on the panel, to all the teachers and principals out there and the school managements. A very, very, very happy Teachers' Day. I want to tell you a few things before I really get into the integration of values. Hema Foundation is preparing how to integrate the values with subjects like science, math and English, and we are working so hard on it, so very committed towards it, and we are sure that we will be able to present before you by the next academic year, so that you will be able to use it profusely in your regular teaching. And the National Education Policy, the recent one, talks a lot on values and the emotional development of children as well. And so you will be really benefited by that. That's a word from Hema Foundation. On behalf of Hema Foundation, I'm taking the liberty to tell you that. And you know, the topic for today is curiosity. Jijnasa, that is what they call it, curiosity. And that curiosity is I consider, and I'm sure most of you also will agree with me, that it is very, very fundamental to human existence. Curiosity is the fundamental behavioral aspect a person has, an activity of the brain rather, and which helps you learn, enhance your living. Imagine today I'm talking to you through an electronic medium, the webinar, the technology. It is because someone out there was so curious, so very intelligent to discover it, and that has resulted in this knowledge. So the subjects like English or math or science or any other subject is the result of someone being curious out there, and they have formulated, they have found out, they have discovered new knowledge, and that is coming to you in the form of new learnings, and we must be thankful to all of them. Now, as a teacher in a regular classroom, you would be getting many students would be asking you questions, plenty of questions. And who are these students who would be usually asking you questions? If I tell you, the last benchers, the third and the fourth row children, who are always difficult children. They have 101 doubts, okay? Two things make them restless. One is either their physical health or emotional health is not okay, and so they become restless, or they are not satisfied with any of our answers or explanations in the class. So they will be jumping with some questions to you, and most of the teachers entertain it, but while some of the teachers will say, we squelch their curiosity, isn't it? They ask questions, and we must be actually welcoming those questions, and NEP is really going to divert your attention towards a classroom where questions must be encouraged. So this is this kind of a webinar to you. In fact, I am the third person talking on the webinar, and this value of curiosity will conclude with my webinar with few other activities following. So I'm telling you, this curiosity be imbibed by all of you as a pattern of teaching in your classrooms, so that your children will be asking you plenty of questions. Remember, it is not a kind of a nuisance for you if they ask you questions, because one, the children are attentive. That shows that they are very attentive in your class. Number two is that is giving you an opportunity for you to learn if you do not know the answer. It's not that we know all the answers on earth. We are not gods, okay? So we can always find out the answers for that and then come back, okay? Now, the kind of curiosity that I'm speaking about is fundamentally termed in educational technology as inquiry-based learning. Inquiry-based learning. So that inquisitiveness in the children is quite common, okay? All the questions, right? Imagine a day, we start a day, early morning till the time we hit the pillow, we have hundreds of questions to ask to the vegetable vendors, to the milkman, to the Kamwali Bai, to hundreds of other people, whomever we come across, and at workplace, we ask several questions. Questions. And all that WH questions, why, where, what, when, all those questions we are asking, isn't it? all those questions you ask because you want an answer. Okay? In our ancient culture, ancient scenario, where sages and munis and all those rishis all lived, we had a system where the guru means actually the teacher, the one who dissipates darkness. That's the meaning, and so very apt while we celebrate the Teachers' Day. The one who dissipates darkness, guru, dissipating the darkness. And Upanishads has got a meaning, Upanishad, the someone who's sitting by side, okay? So the earlier learnings were that guru was sitting and the shishya was sitting down, and the question answers used to be between the guru and shishya. The only difference is that those times the student asked a question, never gave an answer. The teacher in turn asked a question, and that question made the children think, deliberate more on the answers, and they found the answers for themselves. That was the most descriptive way of learning, and they learned it so very, very well. Okay, and that is what you see, you know, in all our Shad Darshanas of philosophy. The yoga and the Mimamsas and all those philosophies talk about this system, the system of asking questions. And the fundamental rule for asking question is curiosity. And that is what we are trying to say. You know, if you call about, again, I'm forced to say this because if you look at the good old times, there was no gender difference in education. There was no female and male concept, and we both the genders were on par. And that was our system once upon a time. All right. We had a Shankara from Advaita philosophy entering into a debate with Mandana Mishra's wife, Ubhaya Bharati, and defeating her. And she was the epitome of knowledge considered. Okay. And we have even Gargi entering into a deliberation with Yajnavalkya, and that resulted in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. Okay. So we have plenty of examples in our rich culture of India to talk about how we entertained the students from, always we encouraged them asking questions. It is later the invasions of India and we following the Macaulay system of education, the teachers asked questions and expected the children to write answers. So the role got twisted. That is how our system got degenerated. So I'm going to talk to you how we can link the value of curiosity with 3 subjects today: science, math, and English. Vidushi, can I have the first poll? The first poll, please.
Yes. So there is a screen in front of all of you which says, do you agree that the spirit of inquiry is the result of interest in any subject? All you have to do is just click on any one answer, yes or no, and you just have 10 seconds more.
I'm not getting the screen, Vidushi.
Yeah, ma'am, 1 second.
Yeah. Or you can tell me what percentage it is.
I will definitely.
That is enough. That's enough for me.
All right. So I'm end polling and I'm sharing the result. So Dr. Vijayam, 97% of the entire participants agree that the spirit of inquiry is the result of interest in any subject.
There you are. So how do we create interest in the children for this curiosity? That becomes the job of you and me. All right. Let me start by giving you a small story. This is a real story from one of the great sons of India, Jagdish Chandra Bose, the great scientist we had. He was a botanist, he was a biologist, he was also a physicist. you know, as a child, he writes, you know, he comes from a very aristocratic family. His father was a deputy magistrate, and he could afford, he writes to say, he could afford to go to an aristocratic school, but he went to a government school, a public school, and he writes to say, on his left side sat a boy, the son of a fisherman, and on to the right side sat the son of an attendant who was a Muslim attendant of his father. And you know, these two boys come from a low background in the society, but then they were very knowledgeable, he says, because the boy, the son of the fisherman, gave him several information about aquatic creatures, and the other boy gave him several information about birds and all that. He became naturally curious about it, Jagdish Chandra Bose, and he used those kind of questions which he used to ask when he was a child. He writes to say, why is the crow black? Why is the tiger having a typical color? Why is it that the green peas only are seen in pods and not like a coconuts hanging from the tree? So these were several questions which was bothering him, and he writes to say that later he started doing some experiments. So what he did was, he got some seeds, plant seeds of marigold. Marigold, you must be knowing, the orange color big flower which we usually see on in the market. So he brought those seeds and he planted those seeds in two areas, on the left side of his yard and the right side of his yard, two set of seeds. And both grew up after 7 days. And what he did was, onto the left side of the yard, he took a metal plate and he asked his small friends to bang on the metal plates standing near the tall, standing near there, he was banging the metal plate, making loud noise, all right, for 3 consecutive days. And this one was not affected. The right side one was not affected at all. The left side was done this way. And after the 3 days, the plant withered. The plant withered, whereas this plant was going very, very well. All right. Carbolic acid. You know, carbolic acid is a poison which is usually used to drive away snakes. All right. He used that carbolic acid and he created a small hole near the right side of the plant, little away from the plant itself, and injected that carbolic acid into the earth. Okay, 3-4 days he waited, and he found that the roots of the plant were going in the opposite direction. And these experiments and several such similar experiments which he conducted later made him discover the machine called cresograph, and which is usually used to measure the growth of a plant. And later he was very well known, and Einstein, it was the time in 1905 when Einstein was putting forward his theory of relativity. He called Bose to help him out with quantum physics. And then the theory which came out was Bose-Einstein theory. That's how it came in. And the name for Bose was given first because he had a tremendous, Einstein had tremendous respect for Bose. You understand that? So the curiosity of children usually result in all kinds of discoveries and knowledge. Now what I want, Vidushi, is to start with the slides. You can see the finger is pointing to space, and that has got innumerable meanings. The answer is there. You consider this as the hand of a teacher, a divine teacher. The teacher is pointing the finger towards the space, towards nature. The answer is available to you, right? The next slide, please. We have Voltaire. Voltaire is a French writer. Look what has he written? Judge a man by his questions rather than his answers. The quality of the question decides the quality of a person. You cannot ask altu-faltu questions to people. You cannot ask insensible questions. Ask intelligent questions, and as teachers, we need to teach the children to ask the right question at the right time to the right people at the right moment. So that is very, very important. Next slide, please. We have our dear Albert Einstein, and what he says is that if I had 1 hour to solve a problem, I would spend 55 minutes in thinking about the problem and 5 minutes thinking about solving the problem. See the curiosity level of all these people. So that is how it works. The next one, please. Somebody asked me a question when I was helping some schools as a consultant. Madam, can you define a good school? This was a typical question. I thought for a moment and I said, a good school is one. When I'm walking into the school, I am seeing hundreds and thousands of children running here and there, helter-skelter, and their eyes had a spark. If I am able to see the spark in the children, then that means that school has teachers who were able to create that spark in them. That would be the fantastic school. So if a school is able to create that spark in the eyes of the children, it becomes a good school. The next slide, please. I would want you, before you go into it with the sheet, let me see certain things. Here, you know, in science, I am taking the life cycle of a butterfly. This is something which you are teaching in science. And you know, butterflies, who is not captivated by the beauty of the wonderful butterfly? We have been running as children, we have run behind them to catch them and appreciate the beauty. We have seen them sitting on the flowers, sucking the honey. So beautiful, so great they are, isn't it? So these butterflies, the caterpillar, the journey of the caterpillar to a butterfly is usually termed as life cycle of a butterfly. And you can see how the caterpillar gets converted into a beautiful, a winged beauty of we call as butterfly. That is what I want you to see, and I will come back to you after you watch that. Vidushi, please. The next slide also, Vidushi. The next slide also. Yes. See, you saw such a wonderful creation of nature. One cannot wonder the greatness of God. No. What is this? Sorry? Only that slide will do? The life cycle of a butterfly. That slide alone. Let her come in. So saw the caterpillar, the butterfly lays egg on the leaf. They lay eggs on the leaves, okay? And the leaves slowly get converted into caterpillar, and which is called as larva, okay? And what is it doing? Actually, speaking, the caterpillar is dissolving itself. It is dissolving into its own shell. It eats its own frame where it came from, except his own head. It doesn't have, nothing happens to the head, but it eats and eats, and it creates a biological soup for itself to eat and grow. It becomes bigger, okay? The caterpillar becomes bigger, and then it gets converted into a chrysalis, a hardened chrysalis, otherwise called as pupa. And the pupa also goes through the strenuous process. You saw how the small caterpillar was struggling within the shell to come out and then form a chrysalis, and from the chrysalis breaking into a winged beauty, the butterfly. Okay, so an earthbound caterpillar never thought that it will make it. It is the end of the world. But the master decided that a butterfly has to result. So the earthbound caterpillar is transforming into a kind of a metamorphosis is happening to a winged butterfly with a gift of flight. It is a journey, very hard journey, very painful journey from the darkness of the cocoon. It is coming out into the world to become something very, very beautiful. Now, when you teachers teach this beautiful life cycle of the butterfly, I would suggest you have to link it with value of curiosity. Now, this scene is usually seen in nature on a day-to-day basis, but we never pay any observation to it. There are several such small insects give birth like this, but we don't have time to watch all those beauties of nature. So ask the children, what happens to the egg? What happens to the caterpillar? What is it doing? What is it going through? What is it resulting in? How is it becoming a beautiful butterfly? The curiosity in the children has to be built up when you teach any science subject. The reason being, science is a subject which is always taunted by questions. People ask plenty of questions. Inquisitiveness is usually the order of science there. So children need to ask you questions. What happens? Teacher, why is it happening? What is happening? How is the caterpillar growing? The curiosity keeps on increasing. How are you going to relate it to human life then? This curiosity lesson on life of a butterfly is teaching you several things. Look at this butterfly. The caterpillar actually came through darkness, a cocoon of darkness, and there was great pain. And through that pain it went in, and then again it gave birth to a butterfly, a winged beauty. We have a cocoon of thoughts in our own mind. Thoughts of fear, doubt, regrets, hatred, whatnot. We struggle with that in our mind. Just as the butterfly, just as the caterpillar, we have to come out of it. We have to endure the pain if we have to see the sunshine. And butterflies tells you that out there you have a sunshine, a hope. So the curiosity is leading you to hope and light at the end of the tunnel. That as teachers, you should teach your students that they also may have their own worries, their own anxieties, fears, doubts, whether I'll be able to do my things, whether I'll be able to help my parents or keep their name good. Those kind of complex feelings they must be going through. Tell them it is possible. Patiently, like the caterpillar, patiently go through that, endure the pain. Out there, you have a future. So that is what I wanted to tell you about the science thing. Let us come to math. Now, mathematics is a subject wherein you start mathematics with numbers. And if you look around yourself, the whole world is with numbers. Why? We ourselves are with numbers. 2 eyes we have. We have, our doctor looks into your pulse and says it is 72. You have several bones in your body. That is mathematics, correct? So several things, our own self, our own body itself is mathematics. When you step into the nature, that also is mathematics, full of geometry, full of patterns, full of shapes. You start your teaching mathematics starting from numbers. You teach them whole number, you teach them natural number, 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. Okay. Now, suppose, imagine you are in a class. You are teaching the children mathematics. 1, you are writing 1. Then you are writing 2. Then you are writing 3. Then comes a fellow, a last bencher. Teacher, 1 minute. Yes. What is your question? Is, why is it that 1 is called 1? Why can't you call it as 2? Why is 2 called 2 and not 1? You are stuck. I am 100% sure that this question, not many teachers would be able to say. If teachers are able to do it and answer that, I am so thankful to them. This is a very fundamental question to mathematics. Why is 1 written like that? Why that notation? Why is it not 2? Why 2 is not called 1? If some boy or girl has a doubt like that, it is your duty to answer. Are you not curious now? Now don't look into your Google and start searching for the answers. I'll come back to you a little later. Little later I'll come back, but I want you to be curious to know that. So let us talk about numbers that way. So here I'm going to talk to you a certain type of numbers which is called Fibonacci numbers. F-I-B-O-N-A-C-C-I. Fibonacci numbers. Now Fibonacci numbers as such, none of you are teaching in your schools, but the result of Fibonacci numbers you are teaching in mathematics. What are those subjects? Patterns. You start your standard 1 lessons with patterns, shapes, angles. They are all result of Fibonacci numbers and a term called golden ratio. And this golden ratio is the reason for you to see the world like this. Nature is existing like this because of this golden ratio, which in Greek language it's called as phi, P-H-I. They call it as phi. And the value is 1.68. Okay. Vidushi, let us go to Fibonacci numbers and I will come back to it.
Ends with the numbers 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, 34, and continues indefinitely. Each number is obtained by adding the last 2 digits together. If we were to take a perfect or golden rectangle, break it down into smaller squares based on Fibonacci's sequence, and divide each with an arc, the patterns begin to take shape. We begin to see Fibonacci's spiral. The spiral in and of itself is insignificant. Its importance is revealed in where we find it. Take, for example, the sunflower. The display of its florets are in perfect spirals of 55, 34, and 21, the sequence of Fibonacci. The fruitlets of the pineapple create this same spiral based on the sequence. The pine cone does the same. As currents move through the ocean and the tide rolls onto the shore, the waves that bring in the tide curve into a spiral that can be mathematically diagrammed onto a plot at the points 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, 34, and 55. Buds on trees, sand dollars, starfish, petals on flowers, and especially the nautilus shell are formed with this exact same blueprint. With each segment of growth, the nautilus adds to itself one more value on Fibonacci's scale. This blueprint can be seen around us on a small scale every day, but the greatest example of all is directly above our heads. At an average of 100,000 light years across, even the spiral of the galaxies above us are formed with the exact design that the tiny shell is formed. This sequence or blueprint appears to be the trademark of a designer.
Hello? Ha. Now, you just look at this now. Wait a minute, Vidushi, I wanted to say something. You have seen the numbers here. 0, it starts with 0. It was pretty fast, so some of you may not have got it that way. 0, 1. So 0 plus 1 is 1. So the third number is 1. Then 1 plus 1 is 2. The fourth number is 2. Then 2 plus 1 is 3. Then 3 plus 2 is 5. 5 plus 3 is 8. 13 plus 8 is 21. Okay? 21 plus 18 is 34 and 55. Like that, the number goes on multiplying. And you saw the golden rectangle and the ratio. Now, if I tell you, suppose you take 13 and 8 numbers, divide the 13 by 8. What is the number you get? 1.6 around. All right. Now, 21 divided by 13, you get 1.61 as you will get it. 34 divided by 21, you will get again 1.6, something like that. So if you continuous number, the forwarding number by the number before, what you are getting is a golden ratio, 1.618. And this golden ratio is the reason, it is simply the reason for why certain animals, the postures of certain animals, and even the insects, the flowers. Ask your children to move out into nature. Look at the rose petals, the shape of the rose petal. You will see flowers with 2 petals, then 3 petals, 5 petals, 13 petals, 8 petals, 13 petals. The sunflower like that, the seeds arranged, you have seen that. So the beauty is that of symmetry in series and the golden ratio. Vidushi, show me the next slide. So you can see, no, before one. So Leonardo Fibonacci, he's an Italian mathematician. He found out this, and people say earlier to this, even in India, we had people who were, but you know, we are not good in documenting, whereas the others are good in documenting. So it is known as the Italian who found out this. So you have seen that nature is replete with golden ratio. Anything and everything in nature is golden ratio. Now you see the picture there, it is broccoli. Following the golden ratio, the spiral there. The rose you are seeing, that is again a spiral. The small flower over there, you see, that is also, it's a 1-petaled flower. So there also you are seeing it. So the rectangle of golden ratio is shown here. Are you able to see the way the nature has built itself with mathematics? So mathematics, you can tell teachers to the children who say, I don't like mathematics, I'm so scared of mathematics. If they say, tell them that they themselves are mathematics. Okay, now next, go to the next one. You see, these are all examples, the waves, the snail you have seen, the flowers, the sunflower, the galaxy. You see the thumb impression, the left side, the thumb impression also is a golden ratio. Okay, you see, look at the little baby, the embryo inside the mother's womb. How is it lying? It is a golden ratio. Okay, so everywhere you are seeing mathematics, Fibonacci numbers. So are you not curious to know? Make your children walk into nature. Ask them to discover, explore, and find out such curious things in nature. But the beauty is that nature is always an order. There is an order. There is a discipline. There is a symmetry. And that is the lesson that we need to learn about. Now look at our own self. The torso, we have the torso, the body, okay? And it has 5 appendages. What are those 5 appendages? 2 arms are there, 2 legs are there, okay? So 4 ho gaya, and a head. So 5 appendages are there. And like this, if you keep the both sides of your face, see the symmetry? 2 eyes, 1 nose, 1 mouth, 2 ears, and you have arms with 5 fingers on either side, legs also like that. So there is a perfect symmetry. There is a perfect mathematics in you, isn't it? So this is the wonder of nature. This is the beauty of nature, to understand and appreciate each other, respect each other. All right. And they say even our own body has this golden ratio. How is that golden ratio? Look at this palm. Now, from here, from this wrist onwards up to this, if you measure this part will be 1.6. This part will be 1.6, and the remaining will be the size of this part. You know, there is a ratio. Your face is also like that. And if you take your total arm, this part from the finger up to this elbow is 1.6. So there is a ratio. The designer sitting up there and creating all of us has got something to do with us. So he has done that. That's what I wanted to tell you. Next, please. Next slide. Look at the kind of thing. This is what something I wanted to say. Something very 0.9999999 infinite times. It never becomes equal to 1. So on the left, it's a curiosity. We never knew it. So today we learned it. See, on the right side, you have infinity. Onto the left side, there is a concrete structure 1. So life is between an infinity and a concrete beginning. See how mathematics is relating to you. It is followed by an infinite string of 9s for you. Okay. Now you may ask me, how ma'am, how is it possible to create this kind of an interest in mathematics assessment, you may ask. I'm going to give you a trial, a small example, which you can try and tell me later how it works. The next slide, please. You know, pique the students' curiosity in math by modifying the word problem. Usually, we have an habit. I bought 5 bundles of bindi and 7 bundles of brinjal. So totally, how many vegetables I bought? How many kgs of vegetables I bought? This is a worded problem for you. This is a usual question the teachers ask. I am saying don't do that. Rather, we will see one example. Please. Victor played football for 2.5 hours today afternoon. He played 1 hour 45 minutes of chess today evening. Now, the possible question in your mind is how many hours he played. But I am saying don't ask that question. No question asked, but ask this question alone. What question can you ask in this situation that would require for you to use fractions and decimals to solve? So if it is, that is going to be an intriguing question to the child, because he will be wondering, okay, 2.5, it's a fraction. 1 3/4 is another fraction. So the teacher is asking what way I will find out, what question I can ask here. So the child will have to create a question to write his own answer. Is it not curiosity possible? Next question, please. Mr. Rahul has a hall at home, which is 400 square feet in area. He bought a new carpet, sorry, not carpet, which is 720 square feet. No question is asked, but you can frame it like this. What is that? What question can you ask in this situation that would leave an answer of 320 square feet? So the child has to seriously think and tell you the answer. Now, this is how you teach mathematics. Inquisitiveness has to be aroused. So the nature, you know the title what we gave today, Integrating Nature, the Career of Values. Nature is giving you values here. Values of symmetry, values of beauty, values of being equal to all by making you curious. So the curiosity is teaching you several things. If science taught you the curiosity to endure the look for hope, something going to be there. Math is teaching you to look at the beauty of nature, appreciate nature, understand the symmetry, understand the mathematics in you, and live in nature, respect the other human being. The curiosity has led you all the way through here. All right. So this is, once again, I want a poll. I want a poll to be done. The second poll. Yeah.
All right, everyone. So there is a screen in front of you.
This is the third poll, Vidushi?
No, ma'am. This is the second poll.
One. Okay.
Do you appreciate your students when they ask you questions during your lessons? Yes, sometimes, or no? Okay. So, all right, ma'am. 85% of the participants have said that they appreciate that students ask questions during the lessons.
Okay. And sometimes anybody has done?
Yes, ma'am. 14% have said sometimes.
And no? Anybody no?
Yeah, 2%.
2%. So that is a very insignificant person. We can say that our teachers are brilliant and brave enough to accept questions. I'm so glad. And we can have the third opinion poll also, please.
All right. So the third opinion poll is, only intelligent children can be curious to know more. So do you agree or disagree? Okay. All right, ma'am. We've ended the poll and I'll just share the results. 82% of the audience says that they disagree that only intelligent children can be curious to know more.
Yeah, very good answer. The reason being, I tell you why. There was a little baby, 3-year-old baby. And you know, there is something called, the little babies usually play with some bottle filled with soap solution and soap bubbles. They blow air into it and huge bubbles get created. You've seen that, right? So one baby was asking a question to its mother. Amma, why is it that the bubbles are in the initial stage, it is small, then it becomes, as you blow air into it, it becomes bigger and bigger and it is floating. So what is the reason for that? She asked, and the mother was not able to answer. Like many of us teachers also may not be able to explain it out of the hand right away. But the answer for that, she did not know, but she did not put her down or do anything. She asked somebody else and got the answer. And the answer she explained to the baby, though it is a little high learning for her because it is connected with physics and surface tension. So the child will not be able to understand the surface tension and the thin layer of soap bubbles, etc., etc. But the mother took the effort to explain to the little girl about the answer. Now, the 3-year-old is not intelligent or wise or anything like that. You don't even know. So to be curious, you really need not be intelligent all the time at all. You can ask questions. Intelligent questions can come from a less intelligent student also. So treat your children alike. Now we have to go to languages. Okay, that is the last part of my presentation. Let us go to the last slide.
Transitive and intransitive verbs. A verb that does not make sense on its own in a sentence requires an object. It is called a transitive verb. For example, the shelf holds the books. Here, the shelf is the subject, holds is the transitive verb, and the books is the direct object. A verb that indicates complete action by itself in a sentence does not require an object. It is called an intransitive verb. Adverbs and prepositions usually follow intransitive verbs. For example, my sister cries loudly. Here, my sister is the subject, cries is the intransitive verb, and loudly is the adverb. A transitive verb is incomplete without a direct object, whereas an intransitive verb makes complete sense without a direct object. For example, we watched. I jumped in excitement. Sometimes, a transitive verb takes two objects, a direct object and an indirect object. The order of the objects can be reversed in some sentences. For example, I lent my toys to my friends. I lent my friends my toys. Here, my toys is the direct object, and my friends is the indirect object. Some verbs can be used in both ways, as transitive verb and intransitive verb. For example, Ricky plays football. Ricky plays very well.
Okay, so here, English is a very beautiful language, no doubt about it. But what makes it beautiful is the way you use it. The sentences have to make sense, for which you need verb, you need punctuation marks, you need question marks, otherwise the meaning will get lost. Okay? Now, this lesson of transitive verb and intransitive verbs is from the grade 5. You are teaching this in grade 5. Now, any sentence, the communication itself is because we use sentences to communicate. I am communicating with you. And if I am using wrong English, the meaning of it, you will never get it. All right? So, meaning to a sentence is given by transitive verbs and intransitive verbs, usually. And a direct object is there, indirect objective is there. You have seen the video. Let us take one small example. Let me explain it to you a little further. Raju played is a sentence. Raju is the noun here and played is simple. There is no other possibility. There is not even a chance for anybody to know what further happened. It could be he played football. It could be basketball. It could be anything. There is a curiosity element in that. All right. So if intransitive verbs just like that end up, and if it leaves an opening by asking a question, what did Raju play? Did he play, or simply he played in the class? It could be even played in the class. All right. So on the contrary, if I say Raju played football, so then it is a very clear sentence. You are very clear in communicating. There is no ambiguity. So again, English language, these verbs are giving meaning to the sentences without ambiguity, using transitive verbs and intransitive verbs. Now, there are certain intransitive verbs which have no reason for an object. Definitely not. How much ever you try, you cannot give a meaning to the next. You can't ask a question. In life also, there are certain questions, unanswered questions. I tell you an example. She lied. There it ends. You can't ask another question. Lied on what or why or how, or there's no possibility at all. She lied. The person died. Can you ask why did he die? How did he die? No, you can't ask. I mean, it doesn't carry any meaning in this present context. So there are such intransitive verbs which are abruptly used, and they convey tremendous sense, meaning to the sentences. You have to tell your children in life also the questions like why, WH, what, where, all these questions in English language. They are all leading you sometimes to give an answer, sometimes they don't give you an answer. So life also is like that. The curiosity may take you to an answer, a clear-cut answer sometimes. Sometimes it leaves you with an unclear answer which you will be pondering on. For example, a question which I can ask is, who am I? Is the question answered by anybody in the world? It's just not possible. Is it the flesh that I am talking about? Or is it the Jivatma in that? Or the Paramatma in me? What am I talking about? It has to be experienced. So there is in life, there are certain occasions where you have to experience. And you know, I remember very well when I learned Buddhism in my philosophy classes, somebody asks Buddha a question. Sir, aap bataiye, what do you mean by nirvana? This was a question. What do you mean by nirvana? He smiled and kept silence. So there was a 20 marks question in our MA philosophy class. We had to write, explain the silence of Buddha. Explain the silence of Buddha. Then the question was asked about nirvana, because the meaning is this, very clear, absolutely clear, that there are certain questions in life which cannot be answered. It has only to be experienced. So let us teach our children, we are coming to the end of it, let us teach our children to ask questions, intelligent questions. Sometimes it may be foolish questions too. Never abuse the kid, never humiliate the kid. Let the children pour out their doubts, understand their doubts in several ways, and then you will be able to explain to them. Make your children, encourage that curiosity in the children, because only a curious mind is ready to receive, and only a mind which is ready to receive can explore, and only a mind which is ready to explore will learn. So ultimately in your classrooms, you need children who are ready to receive by asking questions. You are all brilliant and great teachers, and I must thank you sincerely on the eve of Teachers' Day, and I'm sure you all will be growing up to be brilliant teachers that you are already, will become excellent teachers in future as well. So teach all the subjects on earth. Teach them with curiosity. That leads you to several values in life. So teach your subjects, teach them values, touch their lives. Thank you. God bless you.
थैंक यू सो मच विजय मैम, और सभी शिक्षकों को अग्रिम शुभकामनाएं देती हूँ मैं शिक्षक दिवस की। और ये कहना चाहूंगी कि शिक्षक और सड़क दोनों एक जैसे होते हैं, क्योंकि दोनों अपनी जगह पर रहते हैं लेकिन दूसरों को मंजिल तक पहुंचा देते हैं। सो अगेन थैंक यू सो मच विजय मैम। अब मैं आमंत्रित करती हूँ विदुषी डागा को कि हेम वर्च्यूज अ लर्निंग रेवोल्यूशन से हम किस तरीके से जुड़ सकते हैं और स्वयं को, स्टूडेंट्स को, अपने स्कूल को या अपनी संस्था को हम किस तरह इजी वे में रजिस्टर कर सकते हैं। विदुषी।
थैंक यू सभी को, मेरा बहुत बहुत प्रणाम। और हेम वर्चुअस प्लेटफॉर्म यूज करना बहुत ही आसान है। इसके लिए मैं अपना स्क्रीन शेयर करना चाहूंगी। और हैप्पी टीचर्स डे टू ऑल इन एडवांस। ठीक है, आपको सबसे पहले गूगल पे जाना है और आपको यहाँ पर टाइप करना है hemvirtues.com, HEMVIRTUES.com। जैसे ही आप यहाँ लैंड करेंगे आपके लिए यहाँ पर एक साइन इन आएगा। अगर आप एक स्कूल है तो आप यहाँ दबाकर साइन इन कर सकते हैं। ये बहुत ही सिंपल और इजी साइन अप है जिसमें आप अपने सारे बच्चों को एक साथ रजिस्टर कर सकते हैं। अगर आप एक इंडिविजुअल स्टूडेंट हैं तो आप यहाँ से साइन इन करें, अगर आप एक टीचर हैं तो यहाँ से, और अगर आप कोई संस्था या फिर इंस्टीट्यूशन है जो हमारे साथ जुड़ना चाहते हैं और इस कार्य को आगे पहुंचाना चाहते हैं तो आप जरूर हमारे साथ यहाँ ज्वाइन कर सकते हैं। जैसे ही आप साइन इन करेंगे, ये मैं एक स्टूडेंट अकाउंट बता रही हूँ, तो बच्चे का ऐसे एक पूरा डैशबोर्ड खुल जाएगा जहाँ पर अलग अलग वैल्यूज दिए गए हैं। हर एक वैल्यू के लिए हमने डिवाइस किया है कि 3 हफ्ते हम देंगे, बिकॉज वी हैव सीन दैट साइंटिफिकली it takes 21 days for a person to change their habit। तो ये वैल्यू इनग्रेन करने के लिए हमने हर एक वैल्यू को 3 हफ्ता दिया है। पर आपको इसमें घुसने से पहले, सबसे पहले अगर आपका न्यू अकाउंट क्रिएट होगा तो आपको बिलीफ सर्वे सॉल्व करना है। यहाँ पर आप जो बिलीफ सर्वे है वो आप अलग अलग भाषाओं में दे सकते हैं, जैसे हिंदी, इंग्लिश, मराठी एज वेल एज गुजराती। जैसे ही आपने ये 10 प्रश्न का जवाब दे दिया तब आपका जो फियरलेस वीक 1 है ये अनलॉक हो जाएगा। जब आप यहाँ क्लिक करेंगे फियरलेस वीक 1 पे तो आपको 2 चीज करना है। सबसे पहले आप यहाँ से अपने लैंग्वेज सिलेक्ट कर सकते हैं, इंग्लिश, हिंदी, गुजराती, मराठी। ठीक है, जैसे ही आप लैंग्वेज सिलेक्ट करेंगे कोर्सेज उसी लैंग्वेज में आपको दिखेंगे। तो आपको सबसे पहले ये खाली फर्स्ट वीक में एक सर्वे सॉल्व करना है जो एक मल्टीपल चॉइस क्वेश्चन है। इसके बाद हमने काफी वीडियोस दिए हुए हैं, ये वीडियोस आपका लर्निंग एनहांस करते हैं। फिर जो हमारा अभय का मूवी है उसके पहले आपको थोड़े प्रश्न सॉल्व करते हैं जिसको हम बोलते हैं एमसीक्यू, और पिक्चर देखने के बाद आपके परसेप्शन में क्या चेंजेस आए वो आपको आफ्टर एमसीक्यू में सॉल्व करना है। लास्ट बट नॉट द लीस्ट, यहाँ पर काफी आपको, जब आप वीक 2 वीक 3 में जैसे ही प्रोग्रेस करेंगे आप देखेंगे कि जो हमारी फैकल्टीज हैं, जो एजुकेशन स्टॉलवर्ड्स हैं, उन्होंने अलग अलग अपने सारे कोर्सेज डाले हुए अलॉन्ग विद क्वेश्चंस एंड प्रैक्टिकल्स, जो बहुत ही इंटरेस्टिंग है। जैसे ही आप प्रैक्टिकल्स पे जाएंगे तो यहाँ पर आपको 2 चीजें करनी है, या फिर कई डिफरेंट टाइप्स के प्रैक्टिकल है जैसे कि स्क्रैम्बल, और फिर आपको जो भी टास्क दिया गया है आपको करके अपलोड करना है। ये बहुत ही इंटरेस्टिंग और यूजफुल चीज है। तो आई रिक्वेस्ट ऑल ऑफ यू, चाहे आप संस्था हो या स्टूडेंट हो या टीचर हो या फिर स्कूल हो, हमारे साथ जुड़िए और ये जो हमारा कार्य है इसे हर स्टूडेंट तक पहुंचाइए। थैंक यू सो मच अनीता भाभी and all the very best।
थैंक यू सो मच विदुषी। और अब मैं आमंत्रित करती हूँ हमारे आज के वेबिनार की मुख्य अतिथि आदरणीय सीता किरण जी। आप डीएवी इंस्टीट्यूट की रीजनल डायरेक्टर हैं। आपकी शैक्षिक उपलब्धियों की यात्रा पिछले 45 वर्षों से अनवरत रूप से जारी है। उपलब्धियों की यात्रा में आपने अनेक गौरवान्वित पलों को प्राप्त किया है। आप भारत स्काउट्स एंड गाइड की एडवांस ट्रेनर रही हैं। असिस्टेंट स्टेट कमिश्नर तेलंगाना के पद को गौरवान्वित किया है। आपने टीचर स्किल एनहांसमेंट के लिए बहुत कार्य किए हैं। डीएवी कॉलेज मैनेजिंग कमेटी द्वारा आपको 2 बार श्रेष्ठ प्रिंसिपल पुरस्कार द्वारा नवाजा गया है। आपको सीबीएसई द्वारा बेस्ट टीचर अवार्ड से भी नवाजा गया है। ऐसी अनेक उपलब्धियां आपके पास है और आपकी गौरवमयी उपस्थिति को हम प्रणाम करते हैं। तो मैं इनवाइट करती हूँ सीता किरण मैम को।
Thank you. First of all, let me thank the organizers for inviting me. Thank you very, very much. Dr. Vijayam Ravi Madam, you are such a great, inspiring teacher. In
Miss Sita?
children, really very happy to meet a person like you, you know, who's a very natural teacher. Though you are insisting on heuristic approach in the process of learning, but you are here as a very great natural teacher and flawless in all the subject. You are so flawless and made each one of us. I'm not a student of mathematics, but I could understand mathematics so well. And I loved the way you explain those, you know, the flowers, how they are configured by nature. Yes, it is all something, you know, in spite of the long tenures of my birth, I did not understand this. But today it was an eye-opener for me that how you explained it so lucidly for all. I feel every child must get a teacher like you so that, you know, the values are not carriers, you know, it is internalized by children. And then that is what the new NEP is insisting. The new NEP is insisting on exploration, experimenting, to explore their curiosity, innovate. This is what they are expecting the teachers to do. I feel the HRD department must take your service and see that, make the teachers unlearn certain things, relearn certain things. We have to get out of this Macaulay's, the philosophy, and that is very convenient. Ratta maro, ho gaya kaam. Okay, so that has to be unlearned and relearn and learn again. If they do this, I'm sure, otherwise children by birth, they are curious. The moment the children start speaking, the moment after their birth start speaking, they only ask us questions. They only ask questions. They're curious about that small ant. Why is going like this? Why it is going here? Why it is not coming here? That is the curiosity of the children. So that has to be kindled. So as that is what this has to start, we have to catch them very young. In that, the formative years, that is in that what is called in our this thing as the beginning of the year 3 to 8 years of age. That age we have to train the teachers to do this exercise for children. Not to, assess them, not to make them write 10 times A, 10 times B. No, just to explore their curiosity and make them answer their curiosities by themselves. Create an environment for the children like this. Then, going to school is a swarg for children. They would love to run to school. Then, think, oh, tomorrow, or when the Sunday comes, Saturday comes, oh, tomorrow is chutti. They are so happy. But if we do this, I am sure children will start running to school and walk back home. This is what it is. I was really very, very impressed, madam. Thank you so much. And I'm the first one to take the product and take to all my schools. But only, of course, I'll find out from Anita ji and Vidushi ji what is the, it is priced and all, because we educate our first generation children going to school. Most of the schools moved, I take care, are in the rural backdrops of Telangana and Karnataka. And these schools, we educate the first generation going to the school. It is the companies' project schools where the companies, as they part of their CSR activity, they educate the local, the populace, educating their children at a very affordable price. So this is a kind of children, and they are like white canvas. You spread any color, they just absorb. So it is very easy to, educate the children at that level. So I don't want to deny
Sita ma'am, can you hear us?
doing. And thank you very much, madam. And once again, thank the organizers. And I'm sure, like me, all the principals and the parents and the teachers who are participating, it is very, very enlightening. And we want more and more Dr. Vijayam madams to come forward and motivate the teachers like us, enlighten the teachers like us, how simple it is to make the teaching. We need not have to break our head, relate it with their experience, relate it with our nature and the bounty of nature the children will enjoy. Then, we are connected with the nature. There is a disconnect with the nature today. We have become so materialistic and the rat race. There is a disconnect. So when we take this approach, I'm sure the children will naturally get connected with the nature and the rest will be taken care. And it is more so important in this present context we are locked in. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Narayan. Thank you so much for inviting me. It is a learning experience for me and lot of takeaways from here. Lot of takeaways. Thank you so much. And madam, one last word. I loved your humility. Oh my God, you are so charitable.
Thank you so much.
Others. And your laughter, which is coming from your heart, from your coke, it is coming. It is not even heart, from your coke. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much to take so many takeaways from you. Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Sita ma'am. आपकी उपस्थिति को हम प्रणाम भी करते हैं. We are honored and blessed. अब चलते हैं हम समापन की ओर. हमारे जो विशेष अतिथि थे वो नेटवर्क इशू की वजह से हमारे साथ जुड़ नहीं पा रहे हैं. मैं आमंत्रित करती हूँ अब हेमा फाउंडेशन के प्रबंध न्यासी श्री महेंद्र जी काबरा को कि वे उपस्थित सभी गणमान्य अतिथियों, सभी शिक्षाविदों एवं सभी जिज्ञासुओं के प्रति आभार प्रदर्शित करें. श्री महेंद्र जी काबरा.
सबसे पहले आप सभी को शिक्षक दिवस की शुभकामना देता हूँ. श्रीमती सीधा किरण जी आज हमारे इस कार्यक्रम के लिए प्रमुख अतिथि के रूप में आई हैं. ये हेमा फाउंडेशन की CSR एक्टिविटी है. यहाँ पर किसी भी तरह का हेम बच्चों में किसी स्कूल के लिए अथवा किसी स्टूडेंट के लिए कोई भी फाइनेंशियल बर्डन नहीं है. ये मैं आपको एक जानकारी जो आपने पूछी उसको देना चाहूंगा. मैं आप सभी का जिज्ञासा एवं प्रकृति के प्रति मानव मूल्यों को समर्पित इस वेबिनार कार्यक्रम में सहयोग और समर्थन देने के लिए आप सभी का हृदय से आभार व्यक्त करता हूं. आज की हमारी मुख्य अतिथि द्वारा दिया गया उद्बोधन वास्तव में हम सब के लिए प्रेरणा सूत्र है. मैं श्रीमती सीधा किरण जी का आभार व्यक्त करता हूं. इसी प्रकार से जिज्ञासा के उपयोग से शिक्षा और अधिक बेहतर एवं रोचक बनाया जा सकता है। इस हेतु मार्गदर्शन के लिए डॉक्टर विजयम रवि जी का हृदय से आभार व्यक्त करता हूँ। आपका ये वाक्य जो है, टीच देम वैल्यू, टीच देम सब्जेक्ट एंड टच देयर लाइफ, ये जो आपने कहा है, ये वास्तव में पूरा मूल मंत्र हमारी शिक्षा का हो जाता है। साथ ही इस वेबिनार के माध्यम से सभी जुड़े हमारे शिक्षक का मैं आभार व्यक्त करता हूं। आशा करता हूं आप सभी का हेमा फाउंडेशन को निरंतर सहयोग प्राप्त होता रहेगा और हम सब मिलकर एक संस्कारित भारत का निर्माण कर सकेंगे। आप सभी का पुनः आभार, धन्यवाद।
Thank you so much.
वन्दे मातरम्, वन्दे मातरम्, सुजलां सुफलां।
पुनश्च सभी को मेरा हार्दिक आभार, धन्यवाद, सभी को मेरा प्रणाम। जैसा कि महेंद्र जी ने बताया कि ये हम निशुल्क है, हेम वर्चूज अ लर्निंग रेवोल्यूशन पूरी तरीके से निशुल्क है, मानवता ही इसका मूल्य है। इसी आशा एवं अपेक्षा के साथ कि भविष्य में सभी का सहयोग हमें मिलता रहेगा। पुनश्च सभी का आभार। वंदे मातरम। जय हिंद, जय भारत।